All right, welcome to the Schmidt Brothers Crown Brewery. The brewery was reincorporated a couple years ago. Been out of business since 1925, but lack of other things to do at the time, we reincorporated the business with the Secretary of State. And since then, we've brewed 12 gallons of beer. There's still 2 bottles upstairs, but you better act fast because they'll be gone by this afternoon. $100 a bottle. If you're interested, just stick around. We'll see what we can work out. What we're here to talk about is the tunnel that you walk through and how that was made possible for you to all take a tour. And it started about 10 years ago when the owners, Mike Boots, who's boating and reading Hemingway this weekend, and his brother Doug, who's over in the red sweatshirt there, they're the owners of the building. And they didn't know they owned a brewery at the time. They were looking for a workshop and a place to build boats. And 2 boats so far?
2 boats in 20 years, not bad.
2 boats in 20 years, so making good progress there. But back in 2009, we had, I think, our first croquet match in Over the Rhine. And it's now an annual event. You probably all have heard about the annual croquet tournament in Over the Rhine, which is held right across the street here. But late in the day, after the end of the croquet match, we went down in the basement, and one of those archways you walk through was blocked up with cinder blocks. And everything all that tunnel, that whole room was unknown to us. All we knew was this archway with the cinder blocks. So one of our colleagues grabbed a sledgehammer and started knocking the cinder block to see what was on the other side. We were hopeful that there would be nirvana on the other side and all this great undiscovered pots of gold or whatever, but instead just dirt came and sand came through the hole. So we decided not to abandon the course of action, and instead, sometime later in the summer of 2009, Mike hired Nick Bobcat, a local guy, to bring his backhoe over here and proceeded to dig up the sidewalk. And so the sidewalk was dug up here, and by the way, all this, the details of this exciting story are in Mike Morgan's book, Over the Rhine When Beer Was King. So if you pick up a copy of this, you'll read about this story and much more. In the progress of digging this sidewalk up, there were some beams that had to be moved apart to make room for the backhoe. And the backhoe went down as far as it could and opened up a lot of that room that you saw down there. But then the rest we had to do with shovel and wheelbarrow until we had a flat surface to that room, but still no tunnel. We had a nice big room, but no tunnel. And then we noticed that in one corner, we could keep going down because the ground was soft and there was no concrete there. And as we started down in that corner, we saw the round shape of that shaft taking place. So then to further dig that out, Mike rigged a pulley up above the hole there, hooked up a 5-gallon bucket to the rope, and then individuals went down, one person at a time went down as the shaft got opened up, and the bucket was filled with dirt, raised up on the pulley, dumped into wheelbarrows, taken down in an elevator, down the alley to Steve Hampton's lot where we dumped it down there for his fill, wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow. And about 4 parties later, and a couple months, and didn't we time this to coincide with New Year's Eve? We had it all planned out that on New Year's Eve we would finally break into the tunnel, and so we did that, the New Year's Eve party. And the tunnel did not have much dirt in it because the shaft was filled vertically, but so not much dirt went to the side. So once we'd gotten to the bottom of the shaft, we were done. And then after that, we built the ladder and put in some lights so it'd be easier to get in and out of the tunnel and do tours. So that's the history. There's some pictures here of that tunnel excavation. There's a couple of the beer bottles from the brewery that are over there on the table. One is a Schmidt Brothers brewery bottle from the late 1800s, and then there's a Crown bottle, which was the brewery that followed the Schmidt Brothers in here. So there's actual beer bottles. Not everything I said is true in the presentation, but those are actual beer bottles. Yeah, those you can be sure of. Any questions?
Why do you think they filled it all with dirt?
It possibly when the sidewalk was reconstructed, built at one time.
I think we have a pretty good idea because we did this work without a permit. And halfway through the project, when there's a big gaping hole in a pile of earth next to it, somebody from some organization that's governmental came by and said, "Where's your permit?" We said, "We don't have a permit." And they said, "Well, that's all right, get a permit, and by the way, put 3/4 inch epoxy coated rebar 7 inches on center when you pour that new sidewalk, because a fire truck has to be able to drive over it." So I think backfill was a cheap alternative to putting the steel deck and the I-beams and all that stuff. It was easier just to fill it with dirt and pour a sidewalk in that. Probably in the 50s is when they built that sidewalk.
All right, anything else?
All right, well, we're gonna continue down McMicken Avenue.